I finally got around to watching the international feature Anatomy of a Fall, and much like everyone else, I absolutely loved it. The movie is about a woman named Sandra who lives a secluded life in a remote town in the French Alps with her husband Samuel and their 11-year-old son Daniel. When Samuel is suddenly found dead in the snow, the police show up and presume that he committed suicide. However, suspicious details surrounding Samuel's fall and subsequent death prompt an investigation into Samuel's potential murder, and Sandra becomes the main suspect. What follows is an unsettling psychological journey into the depths of Sandra and Samuel's conflicted relationship, and with her son Daniel acting as the accident's only witness, Sandra is forced to try to prove her innocence while on trial. So if you're a fan of really good courtroom dramas, then I think you'll definitely enjoy this movie. Because Anatomy of a Fall is a really smart and solidly crafted procedural that is anchored by one family's drama. Yes, all of the courtroom proceedings are fascinating and undeniably gripping, but those scenes wouldn't be as powerful if the audience wasn't invested in Sandra's livelihood. So Sandra Hüller's performance as Sandra acts as the beating heart of this movie. Because through her performance, we're gifted with a wonderfully complex portrait of a woman that reveals just how complicated one's life can be. Or at least how complicated it can seem when every little minute detail is put under a microscope for public scrutinization. But Sandra is no pushover. She is absolutely fierce when she needs to be, which only adds to the enigma that is her character. So Hüller definitely deserved the Oscar nomination that she got for Best Actress, but she doesn't deliver the only standout performance here. Milo Mikado Grainer also does a fantastic job of portraying Sandra's blind son Daniel. For a 15-year-old, Grainer's performance is filled with such maturity and emotional gravitas. I was genuinely impressed with his delivery here, and I think he probably should have received a nomination for Best Supporting Actor as well, at least more so than certain other people, because the moral of the story really rests on Grainer's character. Yes, Sandra is the one who is on trial, but Daniel has to face the consequences of it. I mean, how hard would it be for you to hear that someone you love did something so terrible to another loved one? What would that do to you? How could you continue to live in their care if you weren't even sure that they didn't commit the heinous crimes that they were being accused of? That's some pretty heavy shit, and Grainer is able to capture the complexity of that situation quite brilliantly. I believed that Daniel was conflicted about the position that he found himself in, and that was all thanks to Grainer's performance. Because I personally believe that Sandra was innocent, that she happened to be a victim of unfortunate circumstances, but I'm not so sure that I would have had the same belief if I were in Daniel's shoes. And no matter what the outcome is for Sandra, Daniel may always have that doubt in the back of his head for the rest of his life. Because the movie is not really about whether or not Sandra is guilty, that doesn't really matter. What matters is the truth that we choose to believe. Because sometimes, when we don't know what is really true, we can only decide what is true for us. And that is quite a powerful theme for this film to explore. One that highlights just how easy it is for reality to become manipulated. Sure, the narrative itself may wrap up in an anticlimactic way, but I think the ending only makes the drama feel more human. Because real life doesn't provide people with nice Hollywood endings. Even people who get swept up in experiences that feel cinematic or larger than life eventually have to come back down to Earth. Life just moves on, and we all go on to continue living our mundane and ordinary lifestyles. But that doesn't make the experience itself feel any less dramatic. So I found Justine Triet's courtroom drama to be quite riveting, and it would definitely get a recommendation from me.